So last week was comically destabilizing. It started off with a random snowstorm earlier than ever before. Like usually it snows here maybe sometimes end of December, but usually it's like January and February is when it really begins to snow. But it snowed like really early November. And then our dishwasher broke, our hot water tank stopped working properly, our car literally broke down and we had to get it towed. I've never had a car towed before. And then there was gas leaks in our furnace and we have to get a whole new HVAC system. Keep in mind that all of this went down within a 3-day span. Hence, all of the rhythms and routines of my life that I keep up to keep me feeling stabilized and safe, all of those went out the window that week. And in this video, I wanted to share about how I bring myself back into those rhythms after life does something like it did for us last week. Other derailment moments are like when a loved one passes away, or just those types of things where out of the blue, crisis emerges in some way, shape, or form, and you have to stop your life in order to deal with it. This video is about coming back into your day to day. Once everything is resolved, once things start going back to normal, how to support yourself as you move back into your rhythms so that you can start feeling safe and supported and stable. Nervous system regulation is a huge topic within this conversation because it's your nervous system that really informs how you're experiencing your life. When crisis emerges or emergencies happen, you go into a fight or flight state, and there's other states like freeze and fawn and all this stuff. There's different hormones pumping through your body like cortisol and adrenaline. All of this is supportive because you can then deal with the emergencies at hand, but once they're past, it can feel hard to come back down and to start feeling calm in your body again. In this video, I want to talk about the 5 things that I did this week to help me come back to my center, come back to my life, and I hope that it will be supportive for you. The very, very first thing that I focus on is nourishment and meal planning and feeding myself. Once I have that in order, everything begins to feel more manageable. My brain is scattered and my body's hungry. It's like nothing else can get done. So the first thing that I did on the Monday morning, basically the first day where things were back to regular, I figured out what I was eating for the next meal. I figured out a grocery list for the next few days. I don't like planning too far in advance. Luckily, I live really close to a grocery store, so I can just go every 2 to 3 days, no problem. So I planned that. I made a grocery list. I went grocery shopping. I also like to identify exactly what meals I'm going to make. I might drift from this if random inspiration sparks, but for the most part, knowing in advance exactly the dishes I'm going to make helps immensely, because then it's like once it's mentally planned, then I just have to like do the actual physical motions, get the ingredients from the grocery store, make the meals, and it's all very simple and taken care of. I would say that the nourishment piece is the most stabilizing thing. And if you only have the brain space to figure out one thing after a crisis week, I highly recommend figuring out your meals. You don't even have to cook them yourself, although I highly recommend it because that's a grounding practice in its own. But even just telling yourself, okay, on this day I'm gonna order from here, and this day I'm gonna go here, just having it pre-planned out so that you're not constantly having to figure it out every day when you're hungry, which, by the way, when you're hungry, especially if your blood sugar is low, your brain is not functioning properly, and it's so much harder to think things through in those moments. Second thing that I do once the meals are planned and dealt with, I clean the space. I tidy my space. If there's one thing that I can be certain of, it's that during a crisis week, the last thing that I give a shit about is what my house looks like or how, like, I throw clothes everywhere. I leave things, like, I just am not paying attention. I'm just dealing with whatever life has thrown at me to deal with. And so at the end of that, the home usually looks kind of like a mess. Once I'm fed, I start tackling that. It feels like a big reset, signaling to my mind and my body that we're out of that destabilizing period and we're moving back into regulation. Having clear surroundings and everything put back in its place, it creates this like inner spaciousness as well as an outer spaciousness that just allows you to physically settle in a way that you can't fully do so if your surroundings are really messy. Or at least that's what I find as someone who does not enjoy chaos. By the way, this is an intermission, but I had also found this week that a tea blend of chamomile and lemon balm tea was extremely supportive. Chamomile has a downward energy, like it's very grounding and it relaxes me, and it just, it feels like a weighted blanket type of vibe. And then lemon balm, on the other hand, is an uplifting, upward moving energy. And I found that the lemon balm was extremely helpful because I was in a hypervigilant state after last week. And my brain was constantly kind of bracing for impact of something else to go wrong. And the lemon balm helped me unwind from that and just come back into a more optimistic perspective of the world. That's my little herbalism throw in into this video. So after the nourishment piece and the home care is dealt with, then I went into stabilizing my morning and night routines. Starting with the morning routine, I really enjoy doing my makeup in the morning because getting ready and dressed in an outfit that I enjoy and that I would be happy to walk out in public with, I find comfy sweatpants and stuff very amazing, obviously, like everyone else. But getting dressed in like your normal attire, it's so mentally supportive after a crazy week because, again, it's like this whole thing is about continuously signaling to your body that we're back to normal. So the faster you can bring in your self-care things that make you feel fulfilled and happy on a day-to-day, the faster you will start feeling centered in your life again. So makeup is this for me, getting dressed properly is this for me, anchoring that sort of like loose routine in, because during last week I was definitely just waking up, dealing with what I was dealing with and kind of just feeling scattered all day. The morning routine creates this like very intentional energy anchor that then sets the tone of the rest of your day. So if you can focus on getting that back in order, the supportive energy is going to follow you through the rest of the day. Night routines are great because they, again, the keyword signal in this video, they signal to your body that we're done for the day and it's time to rest. And if you're new to night routines, then you'll discover this as you implement them. But as you do them repetitively and you do the same things, this is also, by the way, why I like doing my makeup, because then it creates a necessary step in my night routine, like the ritual of taking off the makeup. And that's very, very clear signal that it's the end of the day. But as you do this stuff repetitively, it's like Pavlov dog thing, like you get conditioned. Your body gets conditioned into realizing that you're about to go to sleep soon, begins winding, like you feel yourself physically relaxing and winding down via the stimulus of your night routine. And so this is helpful because when you're in a stressed out state or your cortisol or adrenaline has been high, sleeping can be extremely difficult. I couldn't sleep a few nights this week properly, or I could fall asleep, but I kept waking up, and stabilizing the night routine just really helped a lot. And by the end of the week, the sleep schedule went back to normal and sleep quality went back to normal. And I'm grateful that I did that. And then lastly, for number 5, we all have a different way that we enjoy organizing our lives. I used to use Notion and various like project management apps virtually to organize my projects and priorities and things like that. But I never really liked that I couldn't always see my schedule and priorities right in front of my face. So I bought some whiteboards, and this has been so game changing for me because I just write my priorities of my life in general. I have a very free flow schedule, by the way. I don't have a traditional job and I have full time freedom and I can organize my day however I want. Freedom is amazing until you realize that it comes with a great responsibility, and that responsibility is that if your schedule is fully clear, it's up to you to decide what you care about and what you want to grow and nurture in your life. After a chaotic few days, a lot shifts internally too, because it kind of feels like you're going through some sort of a spiritual initiation. So when I landed back down into my regular life, I went to my whiteboard and I rewrote my priorities for this season of my life. Okay, so what do I want to focus on right now? I want to focus on my herbal medicine study. I want to focus on my YouTube. I want to continue hosting my weekly in-person women's circles. I want to continue maintaining a steady flow of kitchen rhythms that keep me nourished and never hungry. And so just writing this out reminded me what my life is anchored around right now, which felt like a deep exhale. I also have another smaller whiteboard where when I'm feeling really mentally overwhelmed or like very scattered, I will create a flow list, which is essentially a to-do list, but flow list just feels calmer to me. And I just write down in order how I want to tackle the tasks that I want to do that day. So, for example, on this Monday, I wanted to do the grocery shopping, get the house tidied, and so I just plotted it out over my day. I don't calendar block, like I don't designate certain times to certain activities. I just designate the order in which I'm going to do things. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to start with drinking my coffee, and then I'll make my grocery list, and then I'll go to the grocery store, and then I'll come home and I'll chill for a bit, and then I'll tidy up upstairs, and then I'll play some games, and then I'll start prepping dinner. And so it's like I just kind of set the order so that I always know what I'm going to be doing next, and it takes a lot of that mental thinking away because I know it's all written out on the whiteboard and I can look at it at any time. It doesn't take up any mental space and I just feel clear and spacious in my head. And yeah, and then just the piece about seeing the physical white, I put them in the kitchen. So every time I'm in the kitchen, which is in the center of my house really, and I go by it a lot, I'm constantly reminded of what I care about in this moment of my life. I don't know, I relate to that thing of object impermanence, where it's like out of sight, out of mind. It can be really hard for me to be consistent with stuff if I'm not constantly being reminded of it. So working for myself, it's kind of been an interesting challenge to figure out how to overcome that and stay stable and consistent with the things that I value in my day-to-day. Yeah, that's everything for this video. I hope that was really helpful to you. If I missed anything that you feel is like something that helps you every time come back into your center, come back into your daily rhythms after life destabilizes you, please share them with me and the other viewers in the comments, because I do want this to be supportive, and I also love the vibe of like open source knowledge sharing, and I would love to invoke that energy in my comment sections as well, kind of like round table energy. I'm sharing my tips, but I would love for you to share your tips as well. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this new format of video that I'm experimenting with. If you did, please let me know. And that's everything. Thank you. Bye.